Welcome. It's another Friday and another Between Two Teachers. I'm Madeline Cronenberg.
And I'm Consuelo Lara.
And we welcome you again to this episode. And I will begin with our land acknowledgement, where we pause to acknowledge that we have gathered on the ancestral territory of Huchun, part of the unceded land of the Chochenyo and Karkin speaking Muwekma Ohlone people. We remember their continued connection to this region and give thanks to them for allowing us to live, work, learn, and pray on their traditional homeland. We offer our respect to their elders and all Ohlone people of the past and present. And so we are here again on August 13, 2021. And the big news this week in education is around masking.
Yes, absolutely.
COVID is growing again. The Delta variant is spreading. The maps that show where cases are rising are all red now instead of green. People are rethinking all of the rules that are out there. And the biggest rule when people are talking about the safety for classrooms is around masking.
Because schools are opening all over. And now
everybody's schools. Yeah. Right, they're all opening.
And now this is involving the children. So
exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. So so you've got certain states that have prohibited schools from putting forward a mask mandate. So a school district is prohibited from having a mask mandate, having all their children wear masks in schools in the states of Florida and Texas. Those are the two big ones, but also in other states throughout the country. And Florida in particular, in Broward County, Florida, 4 teachers have died from COVID. And they have been in their classrooms. 4 teachers, 3 of them they know were not vaccinated. This is the other thing is vaccinations, right? 3 of them were vaccinated. The 4th they don't know for sure, but 4 teachers are deceased, and their children are not masked. So they have changed. They have decided to disobey Governor DeSantis and are flaunting his rule, as he would say. And they have issued a mask mandate, as they have in other counties there. And the same thing is true in Texas. In Texas, Houston, Austin, and Dallas are all going against Governor Abbott and requiring their students to wear masks in school.
Sure.
And this is in Texas and Florida both are running out of ICU beds.
Yes, they are.
Right. This is like what was happening in New York at the beginning of the pandemic. So and we know masking can help. The 2 things that can help are being vaccinated and masking.
And in those places where they're unmasked and unvaccinated,
they're dying.
They're dying. Yeah. And oh my gosh. And it's getting younger and younger. That's the thing that's disturbing me. We're seeing children, and we don't yet have the vaccination for under 12.
No.
Right?
No, we do not. They're still in the process of doing that. But all these steps are happening. The military is now going to be vaccinated. And here in California, all of our teachers need to be vaccinated or tested. And that's by the state. The state has made the rule. Governor Newsom has made the rule, and we also are masked. So those are state laws that we have in California to protect children and everybody. And other states, predominantly, this has become so politicized. Other states are following California and also have the vaccination requirements and the masking requirements. But then there are states that have the exact opposite. And what's happened now is parent groups are coming together and are very vocal and adamant on both sides, so that there have been viral videos all over the internet of school board meetings where people have erupted into shouting matches all about masking. All about masking, and where parents are threatening each other.
Mm.
And you can only imagine what it is like to be the child in the middle of that.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Oh my gosh.
Right. And there's misinformation. I heard one woman saying that her child shouldn't wear a mask because he won't be able to get enough oxygen for his brain, so he won't be able to learn.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, well, that's like the things about the vaccination. It's going to turn you into a zombie or whatever.
Exactly. All of these.
Yeah,
Right.
all of these crazy things that
Right.
and it's just too bad that they're becoming so physically violent and bullying and
It takes people are emotionally attached, of course, to their children, right? And that's really what this comes. That's why school board meetings have always been the ones that are the most likely to get emotional, because it's about your babies. It's about somebody that you love.
Yeah.
And there are really different opinions here. But the truth is, it's not an opinion.
No.
This is a fact. The fact is that these are not two different opinions. You could maybe say that in a lot of other curriculum thing, you could say you have different opinions about it. But the science, this is science, and the vaccinations work. That's why they're mandating vaccinations. This is what we were praying for a year ago. We have them now. We need to use them. And masking works. Those are two things that work. It's just science. But it is a big problem. And so it's just and it's being used by politicians all over the country and basically they're using children, right? And children's lives, which is just unbelievably unfair. That's right. Anyways, that's the story this week in our school systems. And in Amador, up in Amador County, a parent apparently assaulted a teacher on the first day of school because that teacher wanted his child to wear a mask. Yeah. So these parents are assaulting each other in parking lots over masking, and people are having to hire security guards over masking. It's a very dangerous. It's becoming a very dangerous situation where people are at their wits' end around it, and the masks have become weaponized by our
politicized and weaponized. Yeah. Oh, it's so bizarre. It is just bizarre.
It is. Now here locally in Contra Costa County and in West Contra Costa, we are mandating masks for everyone unless you have a doctor's note. In a couple of counties in California, they were discussing changing the opt-out. You can get an opt-out if a doctor says that you for some reason cannot wear the mask. You're still gonna have to wear a shield, but if a doctor is willing to put his license on the line and say you cannot wear a mask, then that would opt you out of that requirement. Some of the parents wanted that opt-out to be signed just by the parents. Well, that's a whole other thing. That's the parent is making a choice, not a medical decision, right? This is a parent making a choice, and that doesn't follow the law in California. That's what it comes down to. Yeah. And so the counties that wanted to do that are in Turlock. One of them is Turlock, and Turlock they ultimately voted against it, but it was because the parents organized against it. So it's not getting easier. It's getting more difficult. It's getting harder until we really reach a critical mass. But I think we're going to be masked all this year. I don't think that.
Yeah, I do too. And we're luckily locally, we're not having that anti-mask as prominent or the anti-vaccine. People are making choices to be vaccinated or not, for sure. But we don't have people out, telling people not to get vaccinated or telling people not to get their mask. They're not fighting that, as far as I can tell.
No, as far as there hasn't really been anything publicly. The public things that have come to my attention have been in other counties in the state. I mean, obviously, Orange County is they're still struggling with it, and as I said, Amador and Stanislaus, and I'm sure there are individuals all over that are making their decisions. But the other interesting thing is how many people are now deciding to keep their children home.
Yes,
So one of the things that happened in West Contra Costa is
Yes.
they set up a continuation of distance learning, right, in their virtual school.
yes,
And they had expected 75 children.
yes.
Yes,
And
and they got at least 360
300.
already.
Yes, I saw that yesterday from our board, two board members who have their
Mhm.
weekly talk, and yeah, it's going up. So they can make that choice. They can have that as part of
So
their,
they will need more teachers
and they needed more teachers, correct? That's it.
because you're not going to teach that many. I mean, this is a big increase over the 75 that they were initially thinking.
Can you
Right.
imagine? Yeah, so they do need more teachers because that's a big
Right.
load. for the-
Yeah, and it makes sense. It makes sense that there are families that are not secure in sending their kids out, especially unvaccinated families that haven't that have made different choices around being vaccinated, or who have immunocompromised people. I mean, they're now talking about doing a third shot for folks that are immunocompromised, because I heard this stat this morning where it said you're 500 times more likely to get it, even if you've had the shot, if you're immunocompromised.
Oh,
So
oh,
if somebody in your family is, you'd probably keep your kids home.
yeah, for sure. Oh, boy.
So
All right.
there's that. So tell us what's going on at the county.
At the county, yeah, our last meeting was this week, and had a lot of good things. It was a good meeting, very good meeting. We got to meet the charter oversight person, Mr. McChesney, I guess that's it. And
Mhm.
and just continuing to follow our new board policy on charter oversight. And so we have our committee, and so we're gonna hopefully we can visit some charter schools also. So that would be a good thing to do. So, and then they've closed the juvenile justice, the juvenile prison system. And so those individuals who get assigned there, they're going to be coming to the counties where the students reside. And so this is a good thing. It's a very positive thing that's happening. And also that our juvenile hall and our community school enrollment has gone down. It's been a decline in the population, which is an interesting thing to look at and to try to find out, wonder why, what's the correlation? What's new that has been causing that decline?
It's connected to policing practice.
Yeah.
Because that's how enrollment goes up, and then that's the gateway to enrollment, right?
So somewhere along the line, somebody's doing something right, and it would be good to be able to shout out to where, maybe several people are. So that would be good. So in a way, we're kind of a model for other counties about this, because everybody's going to be doing it. Every county is going to be affected by this. So that's ongoing, and we had a nice presentation. And then we had an arts presentation that was also really informative about all the arts activity and the partnerships that they have with various programs. And then this wasn't part of the meeting, but we also do the inter-district transfers. And I'm finding those more and more interesting in terms of why a family wants to take a student out of one district and put them into another. And so all of these larger issues that are not the real responsibility of the district necessarily come up. And the issues like transportation or childcare, after school care, and getting those students to and from that, because parents are working and they work long hours, and then there's traffic. And it also goes to where they can afford to live as opposed to where they work. And so then that creates long distance kind of issues for the childcare. This is, my hearts go out to these parents who are trying to juggle all this. And sometimes they resort to having to move. They want to move the child closer to where they work so that they can pick them up and drop them off. But because of a teacher shortage in some districts where they want to go to, there's no room. There's no room. Not that there's no classrooms, but there's no teachers.
Teacher shortage is a huge impact right now, right?
Yes,
This is,
and-
we've talked about that over the years. We need to grow a pipeline. We need to bring more people into the profession.
And we want lower class sizes. We want to keep that. I mean, sure, if we went to 30 or something, they could, but we want to keep it around 24, 25. And also we're finding that because it's a negotiated item, and if you go over that, a teacher has to be they have to pay.
And to be compensated, but it all depends on the individual contract in that district. Districts are very different,
Yeah.
right? They're a district. There are still districts. When I was reading about the mask issues, there are still districts that are not unionized.
Oh,
Clovis was having a big conversation in Fresno County. Clovis is not unionized.
oh my goodness.
So we
Well-
make assumptions that everybody in California
Yeah.
is,
I always
But-
thought that too.
but
my
it's
God.
not.
Oh dear. Well, one of the big answers to teacher shortage is if you pay them what you pay a lawyer or, comparable.
All of these other professionals, and I mean, anybody has a similar level of education, let's just say that.
Exactly. And many of our teachers have master's degrees in addition to their undergraduate work, and then they have a certificate. And then
Right.
so we are talking highly educated individuals who should be being paid a fair wage, really. So that would be one of the issues. So anyway, I'm gonna continue looking at all of these transfers and collect what are the issues, the bigger issues, and how this is a state, federal, city, it's got to be a collaboration to address these issues, because this is what's hurting our families. I mean, they are on the brink of tears when they're trying to make these appeals, and they're hurting. And these are larger issues. So we need to all be advocates to help our families and our children. So that was the big one. Yeah, so that was happening locally.
Well, there's a lot going on. Our schools are coming back to school. West Contra Costa is now back in, the teachers are back and in professional development this week. And things changed even while they were in professional development, where they're being told one set of rules, and the state came out with the mandate around vaccinations. It just said all teachers have to be vaccinated or tested once a week, right? Which is, I think, the smartest way to protect everybody. But that literally, all of these things are very fluid in terms of how the changes are made.
What did you had mentioned something about the nurses, that there's an issue with the nurses?
Well, nurses and teachers are both in a burnout from last year. Nurses from taking care of all of the additional patients, so that there's been a lot of nurses who have left the profession, a much higher number than normally would leave, and a much higher number of teachers than would normally leave. Both professions have been very impacted by burnout. And so they need more people. Now, the truth is, the other thing that's happened is people are very aware of their teachers, and then the job of teaching is different. Look at all the folks that now need to, could go into distance learning. Some people would rather teach in distance learning, and right.
Yeah.
And so the opportunity is there for them now.
Yeah.
And,
Yeah.
and I think there are those folks that hadn't thought about healthcare as a profession, but after last year really understand the importance of it and are drawn to it. So all of that is happening as well.
That's right.
But both fields, education and healthcare, have to really get into, and they are, it is happening, that they are into a very major recruitment effort and building their pipelines for the future.
Yeah,
That's what we've got to do.
that's what has to happen.
Yeah,
Sure.
it literally is what has to happen. It literally is.
Okay. And did you
Okay.
have a shout out?
I have a shout out. My shout out is to a parent group because I haven't given a parent group a shout out in a long time, but this is to the pro-science Turlock parents who went to the Turlock Board of Education meeting and made the case for why children should be in masks. And they made it, even though it was it is a difficult case, and these other groups that have been the anti-vaxxers and anti-masking have also gotten a lot of other money sometimes to become organized. The Purple for Parents is an offshoot of a group that was formed against the teachers group Red for Ed. And Red for Ed was about raising teacher salaries and teachers going on strike to raise salaries so we can recruit teachers. Purple for Parents was about opposing Red for Ed, and then opposing SEL, social emotional learning,
Oh, my goodness.
opposing sex ed. And now they've moved into other things. They've moved into critical race theory. They've moved into masking.
Oh, my goodness.
So it's all very complicated, right? We have anti-privatizers, we have privatizers, we have lots of big money, and the more you confuse the pot and provide disinformation and misinformation, the more you wind up with the problems that we have right now.
Yeah, yeah.
Right. So anyway, my shout out is to the 158 members of the Facebook group Pro-Science Turlock Parents.
Oh,
Good job, Turlock.
great. Oh, that's good. That's something.
Hey, we'll see you all next week.
Okay. Bye-bye.